Okay, my name is Valentine Ubunna Ayika Esquire. I'm a former House of Assembly member, 2011 to 2015. I'm also a former Federal House member. Equally, I am the Director, Strategy and Media in Valentine Chinedu Ozigbo Governorship Campaign Organization. I'm from Enugu, Njikoka local government area. I don't know if that's...
yeah, that's... we just want to establish that you are a full member of the People's Democratic Party in Anambra State.
Oh, yes. Yes, for the elective offices that I have held, State Assembly, National Assembly, they were all under the platform of the People's Democratic Party. And since I joined partisan politics, I have not actually joined any other party. I've been a faithful and a very loyal People's Democratic Party member.
How long have you been in the PDP, please?
Yeah, it's been a while since in the I think over 10 years now, you know.
All right, can you briefly take us through what happened in Anambra State on June 11, 2021, with regards to the delegates election organized by the party in the state?
All right, by way of foundation, you know, by our constitution, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, is vested with the power to regulate and supervise general elections in Nigeria, as well as some activities of political parties, including issue of the Congress, which PDP held. And when I say Congress, I actually mean the election of what you call three-man ad hoc delegate. PDP as a political party, by Section 87, Sub 4 of the Electoral Act 2010, PDP adopted what you call indirect primaries, unlike APC, which uses direct primaries. Indirect primary, I think, should be equivalent to collegial election, where not all members will vote, but some members will vote by proxy. So what happened was the national leadership set up electoral committee sent to Anambra to come and conduct election, that is to select or elect the three-man ad hoc, people that will join the five-man statutory delegates, because there has to be 8 members from every ward that are supposed to participate in the primary election coming up on the 26th. And these 8 members are made up of 5 statutory delegates, which are the chairman, the vice chairman, the secretary, the youth leader, the woman leader. But the event, to a larger extent, I will say, was free and fair, was credible, and equally acceptable to members of the party, including my humble self, because majority of the wards, of course, Anambra has 326 wards. Majority of the wards has what I should describe as consensus delegates, to the extent that before that 10th of this month, when the Congress was billed to be held, the members of the ward met and decided on who they would be supporting. And the majority of those people stood for the election unopposed. But of course, in every flock, there has to be a black sheep. In every human activity, there has to be one flaw or the other, which is why heaven and earth, the major difference between being in heaven and being on earth. Again, you know, people's search for power is almost something that defies description, to the extent that, particularly, and among the worst of all that happened in that exercise, is singled out an Ocha local government area. What happened? The man, Dr. Cyril Nwamuchi, or whatever his name is, was meant to be, or was the team leader of the panel that were meant to conduct the Congress in Anocha local government. I think the SSA to the state chairman of the party, Ndubisi Nwogu, who is also from Aglo in Anocha local government, was assigned to lead this electoral committee to the local government. Story had it that they got to the local government, addressed the people. The team raised the issue of that they wanted to, you know, take a bite. They wanted to eat something. At the point when they were eating, the young man absconded with the whole of the 19 watts result, which was meant to be used to collate the outcome of the election. Instead of the result sheets expected to be given to the electoral committee to enter the results, that's the names, the scores of the people that won the different elections in the wards. They were given exercise books. This is unheard of. This is unheard of in any of the congresses we have ever had in the history of PDP. The people now went to the field out of passion, out of the zeal, out of their interest to see that the members of the party were given this sense of belonging, given this sense of participation. True democracy is about participation. For the people to really express their own position, their own interest, their own choice. They agreed, they went to the field, as I had. Some of them conducted the exercise, and the results were written on a piece of paper. This man that absconded with the whole result sheet filled it up with a list given to him, and the situation now is, what now happens? In Awka South, which coincidentally is the local government of Chief Ndubisi Nwogu, the state chairman of the party, there's a video trending where one of the committee members was interviewed as per what happened to the result she's given to them. It was about the same story, that the team leader from Imo State, and most of, particularly with due respect to my friends from Imo State, this was particularized to members of this committee that were sent from Imo State. This person, after they did the exercise, where it was agreed that there was a consensus, unfortunately again, told the people that he needed to make some changes. And what change do you want to make? He wanted to favor a particular aspirant, and the people refused. Then he absconded again with the material. So the exercise, I will say, except for the isolated areas, like maybe 3 or 4 local governments, I think the other places went well. But even the places that one will say went well, it remains to see whether what will be transmitted into the original result sheets will be a reflection of what happened in the field. Because the electoral officer did not go to the field with the original, they went with the photocopies on the ground that after the exercise, the content of the photocopies will be transmitted to the original. So along the line of this transmission from the photocopy to the original document, I hope what will be contained or what will be transferred will be a true reflection of what truly transpired in the field.
Okay, let us, some listeners here will be wondering a lot of issues you have raised. So let me confirm one thing. Which area did you particularly monitor this delegates election that happened on 11th? Where were you? What ward or what area of the election did you particularly monitor?
I was at Enugu Ward 4. That's my own ward, Enugu Ward 4. Enugu is in Njikoka local government area. So
what happened in that Ward 4 that you witnessed? Can you briefly describe what happened in that particular ward?
Anyway, in my ward, one of the persons that wanted to contest to be a delegate brought in talks, brought in people who are not members of the ward with bosses. And after accrediting, about 7 people indicated interest to contest. I think about 2 or 3 were disqualified. Before the exercise will commence, the voting proper or queuing behind your own candidate of choice, there was commotion, and eventually the exercise could not get to conclusion. So the people that came left. But of course, I went to other places like, I was in Anocha. I visited, I was in Adazin Ward 1, Ward 2. I was in Dunukofia. And in Dunukofia, election could not hold because the other faction of PDP disrupted the exercise. Again, they claimed that that was on instruction of an aspirant that it should not hold, possibly because maybe the aspirant felt he may not do well there, but that's speculation. Anyway, again, when that happened, of course, the electoral committee members became scared and, left the place. So there was actually nothing happened in Dunukofia. There were exercises of the Congress in, what do you call it, in Anocha, but of course not with result sheets.
So in those areas where you monitored the election, did the electoral officers come with original result sheet?
No, they came with photocopies. Actually, none of the places I monitored that the original result sheet was used.
So you did not see
normally, I think
yes.
Before the exercise, the aspirants had meeting with the Deputy Governor Taraba, Deputy Governor Edo, the people that were in charge of the exercise. And at the briefing, they were told that for security reasons, they will not possibly be sending the original result sheets to the field. but they will go with photocopies. I mean, the electoral or local government returning officers, whatever. So, direct answer to your question is original results was not taken to the field in any of the wards, yes.
Okay, there is this, thank you very much for that answer. We want that position to be clear to our listeners. There is this also trending video from Umudim Ward 2, where the supposed electoral officer claimed that he was not prepared for the election as he thought the election was a consensus. Would you say that that is a scenario that was replicated in some other wards in the state?
No, you see, consensus is, I think, is an acceptable thing because even before this exercise, people were really worried how free, how fair, and possibly about, the issue of orderliness, if it can be really conducted in a way that will give a semblance of a credible and an acceptable stuff. But, I mean, to the satisfaction of major stakeholders, the state chairman, in his wisdom, instructed that most of the wards, or all the wards, should go and meet. All PDP members in the different wards should go and meet. And where the people agree on a consensus who will represent them, then on the day of the primary, there will be a form of an exercise that will give a procedural veil that will procedurally validate
whatever
that
has been
consensus.
agreed. Okay.
Yeah, so that the people will stand unopposed. That happened in majority of the places, like in Awka South. That's just what happened, except for the team leader that wanted to, smuggle in names and all that.
So would you say that what happened in June 11, that there was outside influences? Because we are hearing reports that some former SGF, former governor of Imo State, they were trying to influence the result
No,
of that election.
I can say it on good authority. Yes, there was. No two ways about it. Because if you look at the demography or the state extraction of the people that we are sent, the sensitive positions that they manned, and the particular local government that they were sent, it is a grand deliberate design, to tilt the whole exercise in favor of an aspirant. There's no two ways about it.
Who is that aspirant?
I think it may not be wise, as a lawyer, for me to, possibly be calling names, but the important thing is, with what happened in the field, I mean, you can even, you can watch some of the videos trending, they're all there, but I don't want to, because myself, I don't have evidence to, substantiate some of this. But peripherally, inferentially, circumstantially, it is clear that there was a grand design.
So circumstantially, we are hearing reports that all these are designed to favor a particular former senator. Or senator. Is he a senator or a former senator?
No, you said it. I mean, you said it, possibly. It may be depending on your source. So you could be right, depending on your source. How authentic is your source? I mean, as a journalist, investigative journalism, the records are there. There are activities, events, trending videos, and all that. For people to investigate and confirm. I mean, it's unfortunate that we continue to kill our democracy. How do people who spend their money, who spend their time, who stood out there under the sun, under the scorching sun for hours on hours, standing to be counted, at the end of the day, they won in the field, and eventually their name will not be in the result sheet. How will they assist the party during the general election? It's quite unfortunate. It's regrettable, it's condemnable, it's unconscionable, to say the least.
Well, we are hearing reports actually, because how are the other aspirants taking this? Because if it were so that there was outside influences trying to impose the senator representing Anambra Central on the Anambra State PDP, how are the other aspirants taking it? And what does that portend for PDP in Anambra State?
No, let me start with your last question. What it portends for Anambra PDP is that APGA will be awarded victory by default. If PDP doesn't get it right, for sure, they won't win the governorship election. You know how much people paid to purchase a nomination form and the expression of interest form? About 26 million. I don't think any of the serious contenders, because you have contenders, you have pretenders in the whole exercise, any of the serious contenders from the day they declare their interest to date must have spent hundreds of millions of naira. And how will it look like if somebody, after this whole exercise, is cheated out of the contest? I mean, for me, I believe in spirit of sportsmanship. If you lose fairly, freely, you have no option but to join the person that won, for the sake of the overall interest of your party. But if somebody is cheated out,
yeah, I wouldn't want to. You've already said you are a lawyer, and I wouldn't want to put words into your mouth. You can claim Second Amendment if I say this.
Yes.
I don't know whether the lawyers here will say that I'm wrong or whether I'm committing libel or defamation, but I think I owe it to my listeners to be clear. There is this allegation that the former secretary to the government of the Federation and the former short-lived governor of Imo State are trying to let one of the aspirants, because people are asking who is the aspirant, the senator representing Anambra Central, Senator Jekunife, to win this election. And if that were so, I'm not asking you to confirm or to deny, but what I'm saying is, if that were so, will there still be a primary, I think on June 26th? Or even if there is, how credible will that PDP primary be?
Anyway, election is not an event. Election is a process. And if the other activities, the other events that will culminate into the primary election, which is the peak of those different processes and exercises, are faulty, for sure, the primary itself will be faulty. And I think there's still room to remedy some of these things, because by virtue of PDP constitution, there will be an appeal panel. There are videos indicating that what happened fell far short of a standard exercise, fell far short of what somebody will say close to international best practices. Is quite unfortunate. But for me, like you said, I mean, I would not want to call names, but whatever that transpired is in the public space, and it's for the people, to really make their choice. At the end of the day, it is the party that stands to lose the most. So my appeal will be that the national leadership of the party, especially the national organizing secretary, Colonel Akubono, retired, because this falls under his department in that in the Wadata Plaza, to do whatever he can to remedy this situation. And how will he remedy this situation? To insist that whatever happened in the field will be a reflection of what is contained in the original results that will bring about the list of the people that will participate that will form the electoral college.
Okay, will you confirm the allegation coming before us that most of the electoral officers are Ihedioha loyalists from Imo State?
I may not have any substantive evidence to say that, but like I said,
you can claim second amendment. You can claim no comment. I will go.
No. I mean, let me say this.
Yeah.
I'm entitled to my opinion, and I stand by it. I went to Anocha.
Are we? I think there is a network problem now. I don't know whether you're back. Can you unmute yourself? You can unmute yourself. Okay, you are back. Yes, I can hear you now.
No, I'm back. I had an incoming call, so it disrupted the.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Short while, yes.
Okay. All right. So, well, these are disrupted our train of thought. The report we are getting is you are trying to give the impression that in some places the election was okay, but then in some places there was problem that disrupted it, and then there was no original electoral materials. I can say on good authority that most of the PDP aspirants are not happy with the development. And this is coming, I think, less than a week after all of them signed an agreement to abide by the rules of this election. And then less than a week later, the whole thing is falling apart. Wouldn't you say so?
Like I said, it fell far short of what one will expect, considering that PDP has been out of power for the last 16 years, considering the fact that we should be deepening the tenets of our democracy, considering the fact that if you want to represent the people, if you want to govern the people, let it be through the mandate of the people. Considering the fact that this whole exercise, we have moved away from state of nature to an organized society where we are regulated by law, rules and regulations. The rules of, let me say, somebody like Ayika, who is in YPP, he's not contesting with anybody, has his own party. If anybody is not comfortable with competing, especially at this preliminary stage, you can join a party that you don't have to contest with anybody. So from day one, you know you're contesting for election. But if you want to be in a party that has national outlook, you have to contest it with people. And the contesting it with people is not by, shortcut. It's unfortunate what happened. So I agree with you that what is happening is really condemnable and unacceptable. But I still maintain my standard. It can still be remedied. And I'm calling on the national chairman of the party, Secondus. His integrity is at stake. I'm calling on our leader, His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi. I'm calling on Secondus, the National Organizing Secretary, Colonel Akubondo, retired. These are the leaders of the party. They should do whatever they have to do to remedy all this wrong, to right all this wrong, so that people will go, the confidence people have in PDP at the moment will not change. Look at what happened in Edo. They conducted a very transparent, acceptable primary. Look at what happened in Ondo. Why should Anambra State always be different? Why?
Let me read a statement from one of the PDP governorship aspirants and see whether you agree with that sentiment. This video is just a sample of what transpired in the whole state during the so-called PDP governorship congress. Rather than this kangaroo and mockery of a congress, it could have been better to stay in Wadata House, Abuja, and generate the result. It would definitely be better than ridiculing ourselves before Anambra people and expect to win the state. Do you share that sentiment, please?
No, I don't.
You don't,
I totally don't, because there were places where the exercise was peaceful, was free, was fair. Majority of the places.
Okay, listen. Okay, listen to his reason. He continued. No single result sheet was cited in the state. What a shame. It has never been this bad in the history of PDP congresses in Anambra State. In this case, we threw caution to the wind. It is even more disgraceful that this was supervised by one of our deputy governors. Do you share this sentiment?
Supervised by two deputy governors. No, I mean, I equally don't share I don't share that sentiment to the extent that you must not necessarily take the original result sheet to the field. You know, from the onset, from my introductory statement, but
the election was not transparent. If it were transparent, you would here be sure that these were the delegates that won the election, but you are not sure. You don't even know. You are sure because, let me tell you, you know, this is 21st century. We are in the age of technology. Almost all the 326 wards, people can present videos of how they conducted their own congresses. Except like even in Anocha, where the results were absconded with, the people still conducted their congresses. But the problem is, the results or the winners were written on pieces of papers. Now, the question is, by PDP constitution, can these results written on pieces of papers, can it be acceptable? That is the problem. That is the
as
problem.
a result to be used. But Elombah, the other point is, primary is still about 2 weeks away or less than, just about 13 days to go. Some of these places that consensus opinion points to the direction that there was no Congress or that it was not what it should be. It can be, they can go and have another Congress there. It can still be a remedy. I mean, the question is, if this is what is wrong, then what's the solution? A part of the solution is
I will come to the solution. I will ask you what you think the solution will be, the remedy will be. But let me also read to you what another governorship aspirant told me. As a founding member of this party, it is painful to watch this disgraceful spectacle. Congress without result sheet is unheard of in the history of our PDP. Why do we do things like this to ourselves and expect to succeed? There is no way PDP can make it in Anambra State if this anomaly and impunity is allowed to go unrevised.
That's yeah, to some extent, just like I said already, unrevised. And we are trying to say the appeal panel, whoever they will be, if they will not compromise their position. Because if you see somebody in the status of a deputy governor and you come to conduct a congress and they turned out the way it did, especially like this Anocha, like this Oka South, like this Dunukofia, and you don't stand your ground to insist that the right thing be done in those places, then you don't want being a deputy governor. You don't even want being a councillor.
Is it not instructive that this Anocha you mentioned, His Excellency Peter B and Senator Uche Kunife from Anocha, is that not so?
Of course, now that's His Excellency's local government. That is Senator Uche Kunife's local government, yes.
And things were not done properly there as well?
Yeah, things were not properly done because, I mean, if you want the video of what happened, the letters going around and everything, it can be sent. So it's unfortunate that it happened the way it did. It's just unfortunate. But the question now is, what do we do? What's the way forward? It's
before
quite
we go
unfortunate.
before we go to the way forward, I'm not reading everything the aspirants are telling me, but let me read this last one. That is excerpt. We should always endeavor to give our actions and decisions some level of credibility. It seems we have not learned any lesson. We should always put the interests of PDP first in everything we do. Nigerians are now wiser. May God help us and forgive us all our transgressions.
Amen to his prayers, because we all sinners, we all transgress. But the point remains that if eventually some of these wrongs are not allowed to go the same way, like I said, PDP will end up awarding victory to Apuga by default. The leaders of PDP, both within and outside the state, must do something about this whole thing. If not, I'm just a person. I mean, I don't have the power to say maybe that will be the end of PDP in Anambra State. Of course, others are there. I'm just a person, but it will not all go well for PDP in the election if things are not right, if things are not rightly done. And like I said, I disagree to the school of thought that the wrongs were everywhere. No. I mean, I knew areas where people stood and were counted, people won. I know about the areas where, of course, also there were consensus. People stood unopposed. And it was done like Ames Ward 1. Ames Ward 1 in Aguata. If you see the video, and the electoral officer was asking, is anybody still interested? After asking about 5 times and nobody showed, they say these are the people. I mean, what else should you do? Will you force people to contest?
Well,
so
I think I'm hearing some nuances in some of the answers to your question. It appears that you seem to agree that the delegates election was not transparent and not credible. At the same time, you wouldn't want to discredit the entire process. Why is that? Am I reading you wrongly? Are you still with us, please? No.
That happened that were not acceptable. But I'm saying it's not general, it's not everywhere. That's just what I'm saying.
Okay.
It's isolated cases. It's not generalized. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. In the beginning, when you introduced yourself, you are supporting one of the contestants, Valentine Ozibo. Do you have your own list of the winning delegates, while the other sides have their own list, and other side have their own delegates list?
What we have at the moment, we asked all our coordinators in the wards to send to us the photocopies signed by the electoral officers, which was used in the conduct of the exercise, which of course contained the names of the people that contested, the names of the people that won, as well as the votes, which to me, which I have cited and which I'm in custody of majority of them, is a semblance of what a proper result sheet of PDP should look like. But the only difference is these are photocopies. So what we are saying is, let the content of these photocopies be transferred to the original result sheets.
But it has not been transferred to the original.
No, that's what you call collation. I equally don't know why on earth it was not done in Anambra. They said they have moved everything to Abuja, that the collation will be done in Abuja. It's only in Anambra State.
So the collation is being done in Abuja right now.
That is what we are told, that collation will be done in Abuja, that the people that came for the exercise have all gone back to Abuja.
So who are the aspirants monitoring the process? Okay, we'll take questions from because we have only 10 minutes remaining in this discussion. So we'd like to take questions from the audience, or if you want to make any comment. I noticed that some PDP members are here in this meeting. What do you think of what has been said so far? Mazi, OC, and Okafor. You can introduce yourself, tell us your position in PDP, and then make your comment.
Thank you, my friend. I would have loved to. I would have loved to be here earlier, but the few moments I watched, Honorable Ayika has really done almost what I would have done. You see, I don't know if you're aware, but I know that a lot of PDP members know that ILF, our organization, we had a situation room where we monitor the Congress in the entire 326 wards. Relatively fair in all honesty, in most wards. You can say that the PDP people really came out to make sure that their votes count. And in most places, yes, it did count, except a few places where you have maybe in Akpo ward, in Agwata local government. Sorry, I might take a little time to run down some of the local governments. In Akpo ward, where in Agwata local government, where somebody absconded with the materials and the electoral officials. In Awka North, one ward is still pending. That's Benebekwa. They were not able to resolve the fault, and the election could not continue. Even as of yesterday morning, they were not able to resolve. Then in Orumba South, they didn't see their result sheets, not even photocopy. In every other local governments, there were photocopies, except in Dunukofia, where somebody, where it was alleged that somebody went to the local government secretariat with some thugs and hijacked the materials and the electoral officers, diverted them to one hotel, King Institute Hotel in Ukbo, where they produced results. Nothing was done in Dunukofia. In Anocha local government, they conducted Congress in 14 wards out of the 19, but there was no single result sheet. It's there in the media that one Mr. Cyril Namuchi absconded with the result sheets of the 19 local governments. So no result sheet at all in the entire Anocha local government. Yes, but they did conducted in about 14 wards, except Adazenu Ward 1 and 2, Neni Ward 2, Agolo Ward 4, and then Agupunre Ward 1. These 5 wards, they didn't do anything, no electoral officer, no material. These are basically the incident areas where we're able to record some incidents that we have also forwarded we forwarded our reports to the committee headed by the Deputy Governor of Taraba that came from Abuja. We also forwarded our report to the National Chairman of the
All right, Usiano Okafor, are you still with us? All right, let's allow your internet to get stable again. Obinna, I would have asked you from the list generated by your group, how would you rate that delegate congress? Do you think it is credible or not? But it appears your internet has fallen off. Honorable Ayika, please, what would you want the appeal panel to do at this point? Is it to go back to conduct Congress in areas where it is disputed that any Congress took place, or to cancel the entire process and conduct another Congress? What would you recommend to the appeal committee? Honorable Ayika, please.
Okay, thank you. You just, you muted me. You just unmuted me.
Oh, sorry.
Simply put, of course, I already said it. I mean, it's not something that is irreversible. Let the appeal panel, by the avalanche and plethora of reports, supported with credible, verifiable, substantive evidences of malpractices and outright or non-existence of any form of exercise with respect to the Congress, let them approve the report that they have to go and redo it. Then, most importantly, majority of the places that had their own Congress, if for any reason those places, what contained in those photocopies that was collected in the field are not properly stricto sensu, word to word transferred to the original document, it will amount to a serious demoralization to these PDP foot soldiers who, as I said earlier, came out in their numbers, waited hours on hours under the scorching sun to exercise that their franchise or being counted participatory democracy. If they are denied that their victory, I don't think they work for PDP in general election. So let them go and redo those things. Let them transfer what is in the photocopies to the original. They are my two suggestions as solution to the problem.
Right. We thank you very much. I don't know whether you are looking at the comments in the chat room. There were some questions about your. There were some questions about your role in your Ward 4 Enugu. I don't know. Do you have any comment on that, or do we skip it?
No, I mean, what is the question? I'm not seeing any question here.
Okay, they said I should ask you what happened in your Ward 4 Enugu. There was no election because you brought talks to disrupt the process. Out of the 4 wards in Enugu, only Ward 4 did not hold the election. And there was some fracas between you and one Mr. Chief Ben Okoye in that Ward 4. Are you able to explain exactly what transpired?
It's understandable that
what happened? Sorry, I think you are back. Can you unmute yourself, please? Can you please unmute yourself, sir?
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm okay. Am I audible now?
Yeah, we are hearing you now.
No. I mean, what happened in? Of course, I'm already a statutory delegate. I wasn't contesting.
Okay.
We have 3 villages that made up my ward. Orofia Runeboji. And the tradition has always been each village will bring out one person. But this individual, Benji Okoye, that is working for Dr. Obiora Okonkwo, wanted to go unopposed. But somebody from his village insisted that he wanted to contest. I mean, why should I bring toss? I'm not contesting. I'm already a delegate. What will be my interest? Somebody who has contested in 2019, I won 3 local government over 3 local government in my election. I won an incumbent. In 2011, I contested, I won. So basically, issue of saying I brought talk or no talk is just somebody trying to give a dog, a very wonderful dog, a bad name in order to kill it. So I have nothing to do with dog. I'm a lawyer. I'm a former lawmaker.
We thank you very much, Honorable Barrister Ayika Valentine, for being at this program to shed light on what happened on June 11 PDP Governorship Congress. In the absence of any other questions from our members in the audience, we will now go to discuss these issues and some other issues bothering Anambra State. Thank you very much again, sir, for being with us tonight. You have now been speaking to us for almost 1 hour. We are very, very grateful. On a very short notice, I just called you today, and you very graciously, despite your numerous engagements, made out time to be with us. There are other people I called, but they were not able to do so. But so I'm particularly grateful that you are here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, and I pray that Anambra will be rescued eventually. Thank you. God bless us all.
Thank you very much, sir.